All right, man. The last video, I don't know what the hell happened. Joint was going in and out, this, that, and the third. So hopefully this video go right. So I'm gonna get right to it. Welcome, everybody up in here. Welcome. God damn it. Shout out to everybody that subscribed to the page. All 310, 12 of y'all. Everybody, man. Shout out to everybody in Netsland. As you can tell from the thumbnail of this video, as anybody can tell from the thumbnail of this video, and if y'all gonna lock in and y'all gonna load in, I'ma just let it be known right now. I am going to tell the truth. The truth that is eluding one portion of the Brooklyn Nets fan base. Shout out to everybody back at home. Shout out to everybody back in Brooklyn, man. Shout out to everybody back in Coney. Shout out to everybody back in the Star, Crown Heights, all of that, man. But let's get to it. There was a video that came out a couple of days ago, on a hoop venue. It was entitled "The Nets Situation Doesn't Make Any Sense." And truer words could not be said. Truer words cannot be said. But at the same time, when you going through a rebuild or you going through a resurface or whatever, nothing makes sense until you start winning. Nothing makes sense until you start winning. Which I'm trying to explain to one portion of the Nets fan base. And that is the Cam Thomas lifers. You see, I just want to make one thing clear. Shout out to Joey. What's going on, Joey? Shout out to everybody on Twitter, on Nets Twitter. But I just need to make one thing clear before we continue on, before we go forward. The spots on the upcoming Nets team, this Nets team, and any Nets team going further are vacant. And that includes the number one spot. It doesn't matter how these dudes are playing. Doesn't. If they don't get the A-OK from upstairs, clearly that's what it is. It's a lot of shit that I want on this team. I would like for some of our draft picks to pan out as promised. I would like for Danny Wolf to be one of the focal points on this team. I would like for Yago to be one of the focal points on this team. I would love that. Said, Leaf, how soon is the Cam Thomas era over? And who internally do you think from the Flappers 5 can rise above the pack? I'm gonna get into that in this video, but first I need to address something that's commonly being thrown around, and that's this whole notion that on this Nets team, or any Nets team going further, Cam Thomas could lead this team to anything. What a lot of the Cam Thomas lifers don't know, they don't understand that the league has changed. Nobody's building around 6'3" undersized two guards anymore. They're not building around them because there's no advantages there. And I know people would like to believe that Steph Curry was gonna usher in this new era of small guards to take over teams and do certain things for their teams. Trae Young is still struggling. Donovan Mitchell cannot get out of the second round. Just to name a few. You know what I'm saying? So Jalen Brunson probably has had the most success as a small guard leading a team. He just he just made the conference finals as a number one. But we all know why the shit went up in the flames. And I don't want to hear nothing about the shot creation of Cam Thomas being on the level of a SGA or of a Luca or of any of these players. It's not. It's good shot creation. It is. It's very good shot creation. But it's levels to the shit. I just wanted to get it into this video real quick because I wanted to watch it. And shout out to John, shout out to Joey. Man, I just needed to make this video. I don't really get a chance to really make videos like that this year. Had to grind up, man. You know what I'm saying? Said we knew Leaf would have eventually address this. I had to. I had to, John. I had to. Joey, Becky Hammond already told him leave. Yeah. Somebody needs to tell the section of our fan base the same shit because apparently a lot of motherfuckers on our side is just not hearing what's going on and just not paying attention and not listening. So and it's a good portion of them that think Cam Thomas is a better scorer than Jalen Brunson.
After a failed super team experiment, the Nets went. What can we actually expect from them in 2026, and what can we make of their future?
So
Tanking last season, but they won't.
It's been apparent, and John has been on record said the Nets were tanking, they just wasn't tanking properly, and they were competing for certain portion of the season. This, that, and the third. But what about all the other seasons before? Because Cam Thomas has been getting 31 minutes a game for the past 2 years. For the past two seasons, he's been getting a lot of minutes. He's been getting a significant amount of minutes. And to be honest with you, if y'all can still hear me, NYG, what's going on? NYG, man. Shout out to NYG. Shout out to the ABSN network, man. NYG, I will be on tonight. I am good to go tonight, man, for Heart of the City. I will be on tonight. I did wanted to speak on that Jackson Darts thing because pretty eye opening. Pretty eye opening. I did wanted to speak on that. The Yankees are in the postseason as well. Shout out to NYG, man. Make sure y'all follow my man NYG. Make sure y'all go lock into the show Heart of the City. It's on the ABSN network. On the ABSN network. That's another one of my pages. So after December 15th, we'll quickly find out Cam Thomas' value in the NBA and if he has a great month of November, and a few teams that are dealing with injuries will come calling. Yeah, John, you definitely touched on that, but my contingency is with the section of our fan base that believe that Cam Thomas can not only be a number one on a competing team in the future, and I just want to shout out to our head coach, man, for because he has been trying to unlock parts of Cam Thomas's game, and he has been trying to get Cam Thomas to focus on other parts of his game and other parts and other parts to work on of his game. So I will give our head coach that, and the coaching thing definitely matters. We're seeing that. We could see that clearly in a lot of the X's and O's that was being ran last year, this, that, and the third. And we can see Cam Thomas is ready to go this year. And we can see that Cam Thomas scoring prowess and his ability to become a much better offensive player can be there. But once again, there's levels to this. There are levels to this. And we can talk all day about if you put Cam Thomas on X team and this team and that team. I can guarantee you the top 5, the top 10 teams in the league, if you put Cam Thomas on them right now, he's not a starter. He's not. The reason being is because most of these backcourts need something different other than what Cam Thomas provides. I guarantee you're not going to start him with Steph Curry knowing how both of them can be defensively. You're going to give Steph Curry some defensive help before you give Cam Thomas some defensive help. I guarantee you he's not going to start with Anthony Edwards. You're not going to do that. You're going to get somebody that's more of it on the 3 and D side of things. Because once your defense gets spread out, once your defense starts to get pulled apart and they can't connect, and you have to face those teams that you have to guard everybody, then that's when the problem lies. That's how the problem came about with a lot of small guards like Trey Young when they had to guard teams that played 1 through 5 and they had shooters. You saw what happened. You saw what happened to Brunson when they played the Indiana Pacers, who played 1 through 5, and you have spacing. You have a good enough spacing. When you run into that, that's a problem. But I wanted to get back to this hoops venue video. He said this net situation doesn't make sense. And shout out to my man JTV for shouting this video out and putting this video in the air, because everybody like to pick apart all the new the little things that Cam Thomas did last season in the 25 games that he played. Just to let everybody know, and everybody that's listening, in those 25 games, in terms of a net rating, in terms of net rating, defense is the issue with Cam, but a lot of 2 guards have that problem in the NBA. Well, I say a lot of the 2 guards that's not known for it. But what happens is NYG, when you have when like with the new age point guards, you usually put somebody there of a 2-way prowess. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, Donovan Mitchell, I could tell you for a fact, Donovan Mitchell and Anthony Edwards defensively, they didn't struggle. Whoever was in the backcourt with SGA, they didn't struggle as at the 2 guard position. Just to name a few. You know what I'm saying? Derek White and Drew Holiday, they didn't struggle defensively. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's a little bit different when you got somebody else in the backcourt that can score and that can score with you. But the Cam Thomas fans, they like to go off these 25 games where he played with Dennis Schroeder, where we were never over 500, by the way. And they like to use that as a launch pad to try to get everybody in Nets land to believe that Cam Thomas, as the number one, can lead. They try to get that to use that as a launch pad. And that is the problem. Cam Thomas was heavier last season to try to improve his defense and physicality, and this year he's much slimmer. While this can help him be quicker on offense, defensively, not much of a change. Well, here's the thing. I think that's only part of your problem. That's only part of your problem. Saying that Cam Thomas needs a second score around him is another part of your problem. I don't think the people that are trying to put Cam Thomas on this number one pedestal or whatever the case may be, they're not focusing on the competition. They're not focusing on they're not laser focused on the competition and what could be. Cam Rowe probably end up like Eric Gordon type player. I agree with you. He probably more of a six man, but still a good player. And I think that would be the long term case because if you look at the guards, the ones in the league, you put Cam Thomas aside them offensively, bro, they should be out of this world. The problem is now you have what we call the Dame Lillard effect, the Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum effect. And if anybody knows anything about Dame and his years and when he played with the Portland Trailblazers, bro, and camp and CJ McCollum was in the backcourt, you know, offensively they were doing things. But when that offense when they faced teams that had defensive structure and defensive strategy on how to stop them, on how to do certain things and how to limit them, then came the problem. Of course, you got to build a team around Cam Thomas. Of course, you got to build a team around Steph Curry. Of course, you got to build a team around Dame Lillard. Of course, you got to build a team around Anthony Edwards and Trey Young. Of course, the problem is it's not easy. You got to find the player on your roster that's easier to build a team around based on their skill set, which is one of the reasons why I point to guys like Danny Wolf and guys like Yegor Dement, but more so Danny Wolf. The Cam Thomas lifers, they always ask these questions: "Oh, who could score like Cam? Who could put up points like Cam?" It's not about that. It's about the other stuff too. Hence, one of the reasons why the Indiana Pacers made the finals. They don't have anybody on their team that could score like Cam. However, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they hung their hat on being the best defense in the league and probably one of the best defenses in league history, according to the numbers in the defensive rating, quote unquote. So no, it's not just it's not. We know Cam Thomas could use somebody next to him. It's not about who, it's about how. I'm pretty sure, bruh, when the Golden State Warriors was building around Steph, they knew they needed somebody in the backcourt that could shoot. But guess what? Klay Thompson provided other shit as well. Draymond provided other shit as well. Iguodala provided other shit as well. Sean Livingston, he provided other shit as well. You know what I'm saying? Bogut. And then they messed and then they got KD. And then you look at the years after Kevin Durant. They provided other stuff. But I want to get more into this video because what's alarming to me, bruh, is a lot of the pedestals that was being placed for Cam Thomas in this video. Let me look at more of this because Hoop Venue was talking about the defensive rating that we had when Cam Thomas was playing. That the rate offense in offensive ratings that he had. But I'll tell you one thing. The one thing I could tell you about this rating that Cam Thomas had in them 25 games, first off, is notice that the league average is exactly 115. Cam Thomas in the first 25 games, in those 25 games that he played, which was basically the early portion of the season, I want to say to probably December, was barely at over league average. This doesn't indicate how well we were playing as a team overall. It indicates how well we were playing offensively with him on the court. And these numbers are valid because I did all the games. These numbers are very, very valid because I did all the games. And I'm not saying Cam Thomas is not needed. This is not a video talking about how Cam Thomas is not needed. This is a video explaining how Cam Thomas is being used and what set role Cam Thomas will be better in. It's not only the front office that believes that he's better in a role where he's not basically the number one defense assignment. And I believe that too. The reason being is because Jordy didn't run the stuff for him that he ran for Cam Johnson. Jordy was running a lot of high-low action, bro, when Day'Ron Sharpe came into the game. And I want y'all to pay close attention to a lot of the high-low action that he ran when Day'Ron Sharpe was at the top of the key. Because guess what? Now that Danny Wolf is on the team, and if he starts getting minutes, now you're gonna see that shit. Now you're gonna see that shit flow a lot differently. A lot of people were pissed off that we got a lot of the players in this draft that we got. I wasn't because on what we did, we didn't necessarily just go after need. We went after skill set. And the pass first players is something that Jordy is familiar with. He's very, very familiar with. Why? Because he was on the coaching staff with on the Denver Nuggets when Joker was over there. When Michael Porter Jr., who's now on his team, was over there. So the problem with Cam Thomas is not him being on this team. The problem with Cam Thomas is the spot that he's in. When Cam Thomas played some of his best basketball is when he was the unknown. Is when the other team didn't have no defensive assignment for him. That's when he was at his best. Shout out to Big Fan Breeze, man. She said tap the like button, man. Make sure y'all tap that. Pause. John said ESPN didn't include Cam Thomas in the top 100 list last week. The NBA is clearly moving away from one-dimensional scorers to multi defensive positional basketball, which don't help Cam. And YG said, I think Yegor gonna be nice and don't sleep on my guy Drake Powell from UNC. Yeah, Drake Powell, he's making plenty of strides off that injury, man. So he's making some good strides back. Said, like I keep saying, Breezy November is probably the most important month of Cam Thomas' career in the future. Well, I would say this. Look at the situation, kind of like how Bruce Brown went from the Nets and went to the Nuggets. When Bruce Brown was here, we had him playing the three, sometimes the four. When he got to the Nuggets, he played guard straight off the bench and exclusively off the bench. And he got a champion and helped them win a championship. It's all about the spots that you're in. Everything is all about the spots that you're in. And when Bruce Brown was on the Nuggets, they put the ball in his hand when he came off the bench as that guard, as that guard off the bench. It's all about the spots that you're in. You could say he played around Joker, which is easy, which everybody hints that it's easy to do. But at the same time, you know that has to be a thing. Well, Quest One, here's the thing. It's not only that, Quest One, but when you go back and look at the 40-point games when Katie and Kyrie was going to whatchamacallit, bro, like everybody pays attention to the lineup that Cam Thomas is playing with. What I pay attention to is the defense of that the other teams were playing. In that Washington game, now, obviously in that Washington game, that defense is trash, obviously. But in the Phoenix in the Clippers game, what happened is the first half, Cam Thomas just came out swinging. If you go back to them games, Cam Thomas came out swinging, and he was shooting for the moon, and there wasn't nothing anybody could do about it because all of the points was happening fast. All the points were happening fast. Cam Thomas, if you go back to that Phoenix game well, before we even got Mikal, when Mikal was there, if you go back to that Clippers game when they played Kawhi, you go back to them games that them 340-point games, and two of them games was eye opening to me because in the first half, Cam Thomas couldn't be stopped. I think he was shooting over 50% from the three in both of those games. What I paid attention to is when the defense made adjustments. When the defense made adjustments. Because when you don't have a team around Cam Thomas, when you don't have a players around Cam Thomas, he's not going to trust himself to get the ball out of his hands and give the ball to anybody else. And then you go to last year where Cam Thomas was playing the Warriors and Struder was still on the team. Struder during that stretch, him and Struder, they had a stretch where they was a top 5 scoring backcourt, if not number one. They had a stretch where they was number 1 scoring backcourt. So, and you go back to that Warriors game with that he played when we were down 16. We were down 16. It's on my page. Y'all can find it. You scroll down. Just look for the Warriors. They were down 16. Cam Thomas comes out the game. Struder goes off for 31 and 11 on Steph, and we win the game. And Cam Thomas was on the game. It was on the bench the entire time. A lot of people talk about what can you put around Cam Thomas. The problem is they're not talking about it truthfully. It's about what you could put Cam Thomas around. It's how can Cam Thomas fit with somebody else? Because the fact of the matter is nobody's building around undersized two guards anymore. And that is the main common denominator of why Cam Thomas got $6 million in the first place. That's one of the common denominators. Another one is just, all right, yo, I want my money. I believe I'm better than Tyler Hero. I believe I'm better than this dude. I believe just as good as him. Da 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 da. And you can understand Cam Thomas being that way. But at the same time, it's all about how you peak. He said if Cam was around the Kyrie Steph era, he's probably getting paid, but he's not tall, he's not athletic, and he's not a great defender, which anchors his market a lot. That's not fact, that's fiction. I think the situation is more complex than that because when you tell the Cam Thomas fan base section of the Nets this, they're gonna go to what only is being done the right way. Give him someone to work off. We could have that said player. I'll be honest with you, Quest One. We could have that said player because the reason why I say we could have that said player is because what of the system that Jordy was running and some of the systems that Jordy come from. So just pay attention to that as the season goes on. Quest One, unfortunately, Quest Sean Marks, who doesn't value talent properly, never saw Cam as a number one or two, and drafted players who have strengths Cam don't have, which means they moving away from him. Which probably means that and I did see the video of Cam Thomas cooking everybody in practice. And what's alarming, and that basically describes that the season that we're gonna have because if Cam Thomas is cooking all of these dudes in practice, what's gonna happen in the games when we see actual better players? Cam Thomas played well with everyone that was his teammate. Has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Of course he played well. Of course he played well, Breezy. My thing is when he's the focal point of a defensive assignment, then what? Of course it was, but of course he played well coming off the bench when KD was here. Cam Thomas record as a starter, just to let everybody know. Just to let everybody know, Cam Thomas record as a starter is 29-51. 29-51. That's his record as a starter. He started 80 games in his career. 29-51. That's what it is. This I don't really think it's about the NBA value in him. It's more so about is he ever gonna be on a team where he has the perks where people could pick up his slack where people could pick up and hide his weaknesses and hyping his strengths. That's the real issue here. This is not a Cam Thomas blast. This is not a Cam Thomas shoot down video, which a lot of people might think. Which a lot of the Cam Thomas lifers might think it is. It's a truth video. That's what it is. And the truth is, bruh, we. And when I say we, bruh, like we all sit together because in the front office, bruh, all the way down, if the front office don't agree, then that means basically we don't agree. Because if Cam Thomas move on and then we start winning, guess what? We're gonna forget it ever happened. Everybody gonna forget it ever happened. And everybody gonna be saying, yeah, see? See what happened, man? See? I'm not gonna say that because Cam Thomas has a role in this league, on this team. It's just not a role that a lot of his fan base think it is. That's what it really is. He said, I just personally feel we are making a mistake letting him leave right now, but time will tell. I believe that we're making a mistake letting him leave for nothing. That's what I believe we're making a mistake at doing. We're making a mistake at letting him leave for nothing because eventually that's going to happen. We're going to let him leave for nothing. And that's not something that needs to be done. Cam Thomas has a spot on this team, and I think he will continue to have a spot on this team. The problem is it's just not the spot that a lot of the people that value Cam Thomas thinks that it is. It's not. It's not. And this is not devaluing Cam Thomas. This is letting everybody know that other skill sets are being valued way, way higher in today's NBA. Other skill sets are being valued way, way higher. That's all this is. If you look at all of these other teams in the league, they got a player. If you look at some of the top teams in the league, most of the top teams in the league, maybe outside of a few teams, they have players that are going to hold the fort and they're going to be elite night in and night out in other categories of the game. That's what's going to happen. Jordy Fernandez is trying to bring something out. He's trying to bring something out of Cam Thomas that a lot of people really don't see. That he's trying to open up Cam Thomas game to the point where it's like, all right, you can do this, you could do that, you can find players that's that and the third. The problem is the teams that have the defensive game plan. It's not hard for them to game plan against Cam Thomas, not just because he doesn't have the team. It's just because he has to lean on certain skills and certain footings and certain things to score. Like he's not somebody that could force the issue and with his athletic prowess and get somewhere and get to places where a lot of other players can't get. He can't get to the places that Giannis can get. Can't get to the places that Kyrie can get. He can't move the right he can't thread the defense and maneuver the defense the way that Luca in the way that Joker can do. What Cam Thomas can do is go one on one, and he can cook one on one. But once you send the help, that's where the problem is. That's where that next level is. The next level for him is becoming very, very good out of double teams. That's the next level. That's that next level. The next level for Cam Thomas is becoming elite out of double teams. It's coming elite out of breaking down defenses. Becoming much faster when it comes to scoring as opposed to just getting your shot off. Becoming much better at reading the defense.
In your 50-70 mix, the 107, which would have ranked 29. Obviously, there are other factors at play. The reason for such a big swing, though, is that Thomas quietly started the season as one of the league's best on-ball scorers with the shot creation in difficult shots.
So the thing about Cam Thomas that people needs to really, really understand is as a half court shot creator, he is there. He's definitely there as a half court shot creator. But the other things are going to unlock his game. The ability to read the defense, the ability to break defenses down, to break down high level defenders. Because I've seen games where we played a team like where we played a team like Minnesota. If Jaden McDaniels was on them, that's it. We don't have like that's basically it. You could basically neutralize him. You know what I'm saying? Like if these high level wing defenders is on him, like a Jaden McDaniels, that's it. That's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? If you throw some of the OKC defenders on them, bro, that's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you like it's so much, man. Like I mean, if he's being switched out, if we play Cleveland and Evan Mobley is switched out, and then you got Jared Allen on the back end, what can he do? You know what I'm saying? So I mean, these are the questions that need to be asked. These are the questions that need to be asked. How is Cam Thomas ultimately helping our team? These are the things that you have to worry about. You know what I'm saying? So, like, realistically, to me, it's all about like what how he's used in the spots that he's in. So it's all about the spot that he's in. You know what I'm saying? So because realistically, bro, like we can continue to do this and have these conversations, man, but I'm really not going to continue to have it because I know what I know about Cam Thomas, and when he's gone and then these conversations come back up, I could get to go back to these videos, I could get to go back to the footage. Once we start winning, when he's not on this team anymore, which is most likely the direction that the Nets is going because they most likely going to tank this year and they're going to devalue him again. And Cam Thomas will have to go to a top 10 team to become the player to be the player that he's always been, mainly just a scorer. So realistically, bro, this is not a Cam Thomas bashing video. It's not. This is a is Cam Thomas in the right spot video? Is he in the right spot? And right now, I don't think he is. That's the reality, man. But you know what? While I'm chilling, I could just I guess I just put up the link. 'Cause I ain't really got too much else to do, man. I got about 20 or 30 minutes or something. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna put up the link because I don't really want to talk about this no more, man. Appreciate everybody up in here. Appreciate everybody that like the page, hit the like, share, subscribe button on the way in and out the door. Appreciate everybody that subscribed to the page, all 312 of y'all. And I'm out. Later.